I'm Linda Thompson, and welcome to the Author Show. We've got a very interesting guest today. He's written Accidental Felons, and Then They Came for Us. Now, for those of you who live in Arizona, we have all heard of Sheriff Joe Arpaio. And for those of you who don't live in Arizona, if you've ever read a newspaper, you've probably heard of Sheriff Joe Arpaio as well. So Daniel Horn has a story to tell about Accidental Felons. Welcome to the show, Daniel.
Hi, Linda. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, tell me about Accidental Felons, and Then They Came for Us. I'm really curious about this because you've got a very interesting book cover as well.
Well, thank you. That's actually my family on the cover. I'm the book's designer as well as the author. Accidental Felons is a chronicling of my experience going through the Maricopa County justice system and about my 1 year inside of Maricopa County's Tent City Jail. It talks a lot about, speaks to and shows the stories of other people who went through the same experience I did, and I believe also portends to a good deal of injustice and wrong behavior that I didn't know existed there.
Tell me about Tent City, because we all know that Sheriff Joe thinks it's really cool and he thinks it's really funny and we're going to put everybody in pink underwear. What is it really like?
Well, Sheriff Joe has some strategies that, such as extended sleep deprivation, extremes of rain, heat, and cold, poor nutrition, psychological abuse, that I think are clearly inhumane way to treat human beings. They were probably, in my estimate anyway, a violation of international law. I mean, they go that far. The heat, which is what a lot of people think about, is not the worst of what that area has to offer. And no one even cares about the pink. It's sort of the new blue. And it's a joke among the prisoners as much as anyone else. Tent City and that jail, not just the tents, but the jail itself, I think is a dangerous place for people to be. And there are 10,000 people in there. Wow. I met a few hundred of them over the course of the year I was there. There are people who should have been in prison that are there on work release, I think, should have been in prison. There are people who shouldn't be there at all, which is the vast majority of people, who just fell into an egregious system with our county attorney.
Well, tell us a little bit about that legal system that gets you into Tent City.
Well, I don't think the people in Maricopa County understand just how easy it is to become a felon in this county. I certainly don't believe that they understand the risk their children are at. And there's a few children in the book that it speaks to. One of my neighbor's children is one of them. It's a 13-year-old. And there's a story of a 15-year-old boy in there as well. I don't think that people know that nine people a day go to prison in this state, and most of them are in Maricopa County. That's the work of Andrew Thomas, and he gains most of that through his use and abuse, I think, of mandatory sentencing, by charging ordinary people with these crimes that are designed and intended to be used against hardened career criminals. And when you use these kind of laws against the general population, they really become a weapon of mass destruction.
Well, let me take that one step further and ask you, based upon some of the things I've recently been hearing on the news, are you frightened for your safety and the safety of your family because you're speaking out about this?
Well, I think it'd be foolish to say that my family's not concerned about this. It's a bit intimidating to go up against a gun with a paper and a pen. But it's the right thing to do, and somebody really needs to do it, because I really don't think the people in this county are good people, and I don't think they understand the reality, I know I didn't, of what's going on really right under their noses.
But we keep bringing them back. We keep voting them back in.
Well, we do, and it's America. And if this is really what people want, they can certainly read the book and get the detail. And if it's what they want, they have a right to that. I think they're being misled. I think they don't know the truth. I think that the people that give the one side of the story haven't told us the truth. I know I didn't know the truth. And this book is a chronology of a lot of stories. They can read it, and they can come to their own decision about what they want to do about that, if anything.
Well, how much further do you plan to take this? Is there another book in Daniel's future, or are you going out and speaking about it? What's next?
Well, there are a couple of books in my future. One of them I'm writing now is called Political Fictions. The second one that I'm getting together is a novel. But given that I'm a chief financial officer turned author, I'm not really too sure what I'm going to do next, other than having written this book. One of the things someone said to me one time is, we're not always called to serve at a time of our choosing. And that's really the way I feel about this book. It's not so much something I wanted to do as something that had to be done. And that's where it sits. And people can read it, and they'll make their own decisions about it.
Where can we find Accidental Felons?
Well, my website obviously is a good place to go, and it's on Amazon.com. You can purchase it through another online site called atlasbooks.com. It's ATLAS. You can also go into your local bookstore and look in the biography section. If you don't see it, ask the owner or someone working there, and they'll get it for you.
Well, now, were you involved in the system at the time that you had young children?
Oh, yes.
How were they affected by all of this?
Well, we did our best, my wife and I, to keep them out of the trauma. I did work my way on to and better my situation there, and ended up on work release. I told my children I used to go to work for my employer during the day, and I'd go to work for baby Jesus at night. And that's what they still believe, and they will believe that until they're old enough to read this book. And this book is as much for them as anything else, I think. And so far, we've protected them. I think if the book gains any notoriety, we're going to have a talk with them, but that's okay. They know their daddy.
Well, Daniel, we're running short of time, but what is the one thing you would like to leave our viewers with as far as what our justice system today represents?
Well, I didn't find any justice in our justice system, and that being said, I will say that the police did their job correctly. The man who actually prosecuted me, that did the sentencing, was a good man and a good attorney. It was not the county attorney, it was somebody a couple of levels down. The judge did his job right. The problem is that the politics ruled the day, and the legislation of mandatory sentencing muzzled the judge.
Okay. Something we all need to remember. And does it mean that we don't follow the laws, or we do follow the laws? I don't know. What it does mean is that we need to take a look very closely behind the scenes of who we're voting for the next time. Accidental Felons, a real lesson here that everyone needs to take a look at. I'm Linda Thompson. We look forward to seeing you next time, and remember, a book can change a life, one word at a time.